Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is James Nguyen. Thank you for attending today's teach-in event hosted by the Anthropology Department's Ethnographic Field School.
All right, thank you, James, for getting us started here. So before we introduce today's featured speaker, we do have a very quick poll to run, and we will do that. Should we wait a minute to run the poll, or should we just do that now?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so there should be just 3 questions on your Zoom links right now. We'll just give it a few more moments for the poll to hopefully get everyone to answer if we can. Okay. All right, so thank you everyone for participating in that short poll. We will have a follow-up at the end of the presentation as well. James, if you could please introduce today's speaker.
Today, we are happy to be joined by Francisco Juarez, who is a health promoter with Cultiva La Salud. He graduated from Fresno State with a liberal studies degree and is pursuing a master's in education. He grew up in Salinas, California. Please welcome Francisco Juarez.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for having me. I know I can't see your faces and I know you guys are listening, but I'm really happy to be here, and it's an honor and a pleasure to speak with you all. Just a little bit more about myself. I'm 25 years old. I am originally from Monterey Bay, and I am not from the Central Valley. I moved here back in 2016 and have not left. I've been here ever since. And it has been such a journey and such an experience being here in the Central Valley and realizing what it is this community does for one another and what it is that we all offer as a consensus for a community and a population in it all. So thank you guys for having me here. I don't want to bore you at all with what I'm speaking today. I want to make sure that this I guess session is interactive. I've been on a lot of Zoom calls for the past year and a half. And let me tell you, I am so sick of them and I'm over them in the sense that I miss human interaction. I miss one-on-one interaction and speaking to people and actually seeing their faces and actually getting a response from them one-on-one. So in the meantime, this is what we have going for us. And thank you guys for being here and taking the time. I'm going to start my presentation will be according to Kahoot. So, oh, I see someone's face, Presley. Hi, Presley. I'm glad I got to see you. Those are really cute glasses. I'm telling you, I'm very outgoing and I'm very talkative. And I'm only 25 years old, so please don't dock me. I don't want to sound like I'm immature, but I also want to let you guys know and be open that I am just like any other young person that you guys meet in your classroom. So be free to interrupt me, be free to ask questions, be free to interject. It's not rude. I'm giving you guys the open door right now. Please don't be shy. Because I'm a little flamboyant gay kid from the Monterey Bay, and if I'm not shy about it, please don't be shy about yourself too, but also be open and welcome to speak at any moment. But let's go ahead and get this started. I created a Kahoot presentation for you all. I know a lot of you guys know what Kahoot is and have utilized it before. So instead of doing a PowerPoint, which is lame and boring sometimes, I thought to make it interactive. So let me go ahead and switch over screens, and then we can start working doing that. 1 second. Alrighty, let's see. Share screen. Here we go. Can everyone see the screen correctly? Okay, so for those of you at home, the way that I tested this out is that if you want to log onto your cell phones and go to kahoot.it, and you can answer via cell phone, and then leave your computers activated so you can see the screen and you can see the questions on the screen, and then you can answer on your cell phone. You probably all know this already, but just letting you guys know again. Wait a minute or so, that way everybody can get on. You can use funky names too. You guys don't have to use your actual names. I tested this presentation on my best friend this morning, and he put Spider-Man 2.0. So I'm like, okay, go ahead. Do I have anybody on this group today that's not from the Central Valley? If you're not, please unmute yourself and say hi.
I'm from Sacramento.
And who was that? Who said that?
Sabdi.
Hi, nice to meet you. Anybody else that's not from the Central Valley? No, everyone's from here? No Bulldog Facts. Love that. I love that. Whoever did that, I love that. That's fantastic.
I'm from Pennsylvania originally, but been living here for 7 or 8 years.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. And how did you come, Dr. Saxon, from Pennsylvania to here, if I may ask?
Somebody gave me a job. I also did my dissertation research in the Watsonville, Salinas areas with farm workers in the strawberry industry.
Okay.
And so that set me up to want to come back and keep doing that work.
That's awesome. Did we have this conversation already that I told you that I'm born in Monterey, but I was raised in Salinas? Yeah. Yeah. So you definitely know my hometown. And then I was one of those kids that whenever I was able to walk and move, at the age of 10 years old, I started picking strawberries because I needed to help my parents out with bills. So I definitely know that. And then I have Henry in the chat saying he's from Boston. That's great. How was Boston, Henry? Good? You liked it?
It's pretty good. It's a big place.
I've been wanting to travel and visit, but finances and COVID hasn't helped, but here we are.
Yeah, I understand. Put it on your long-term list.
Oh, yeah, of to-dos. Alrighty, I'm hoping everybody's on. I mean, the numbers go and come, but yeah, I'll just say that we're ready to start. So throughout this Kahoot, there's going to be questions that are multiple choice and questions that are just one answer or true or false. So just pay attention to the reading. If it says multiple, it'll say multiple. If it is just one, it won't say it's multiple. There are some videos in between that are very educational and informative. So please don't, if it's boring, just tell me. Then the next time I do a presentation, I'll remove that video and I'll never show it again. Okay, let's get started. All right, so there's no music because I know there's some videos in between. So let's go ahead and go to the first one. So the first question to start off with you guys would be this one. Waiting for everybody to answer. I know that finals are coming up, right? Finals are coming up. Yeah, I'm seeing head nods, thumbs up. Did everyone answer? And y'all can be honest too, because literally me, I was stressed about some stuff going on. So I get it. Yeah, some of y'all, see, I knew it. Some of you guys are gonna, yeah, I'm on the same boat. I'm stressed. I am stressed. And then it's not because of like work or because of this, because I'm happy to be here. As you can tell, I can't stop smiling. God gave me these thick cheeks, these chipmunk cheeks for a reason, to utilize that in my smiling. But no, I get it. I definitely know how you're feeling. Work and personal life has been entangling with themselves, so I understand that. But everybody, people who said great and that are okay, we got this. The semester is almost over. Take a deep breath, have some Dutch bros, and we'll be okay. Go to the next one. So right now in the lead, we have Presley. Hey, it's that girl Presley. Alrighty, let's go and move on to the next one. So the first question, it's a multiple choice. It says, what are the 3 approved COVID vaccines by the CDC? Again, if you guys do not know the answers, you can just make a guess and then we'll go over them. Hey, good answers. Good answers. Yes. The 3 vaccines that are being offered right now by the CDC are the Moderna one, the Pfizer BioNTech, and the Johnson & Johnson. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one, and then we'll talk about it more. Who is in the lead now? Presley's still in the lead. Hey, but Marissa's moving up. Perfect. So the answer is there's 3 vaccines that are being offered right now currently. And then let's go on to the next slide, and it'll explain a little bit more about the vaccines and so forth. Let me know if you cannot hear the video.
The science.
Do you guys hear that? Okay.
Of vaccinology, together with the tools of public health, are the thing that is going to get us out of this. This will end. This is not something that's going to be with us forever. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Researchers and scientists, with the support of the U.S. government, are racing against the clock to develop a vaccine against the novel coronavirus.
My name is Dr. Anthony Fauci, and I'm the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes of Health in the Department of Health and Human Services. What we have here with the coronavirus is a virus that's new, that is highly, highly efficient in spreading from human to human, and has a, relatively speaking, a considerable degree of morbidity and mortality. You put all those things together, and that's the perfect storm.
How would a vaccine protect us from the novel coronavirus? The virus that causes COVID-19, known as SARS-CoV-2, is made up of an outer lipid envelope inside of which is coiled a single RNA strand. Once the virus enters the body, its outer protein spikes attach themselves to receptors on cells in the lungs. The spikes allow the RNA strand to slip into healthy cells and reproduce, killing the healthy cell and spewing out multiple new versions of the virus. The host's immune system reacts by creating specific antibodies and by activating immunity cells to fight the virus. A COVID-19 vaccine would provide a protective shield by stimulating immune response ahead of any exposure to the virus.
One of the great triumphs of medical science in dealing with infectious diseases has been vaccinations. It has saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of people's lives. Now you have smallpox eradicated, polio eliminated, measles in many countries eliminated, rubella, mumps, hepatitis, meningitis, all those things.
How do scientists develop a new vaccine? To develop a vaccine, typically research sponsors begin by selecting a methodology and developing a candidate through lab research and selective humane testing on animals. With approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, clinical trials in humans can begin. Phase 1 of clinical trials assesses the safety of the vaccine in a small group of volunteers. Phase 2 assesses both safety and efficacy of the vaccine in a slightly larger study group. And then phase 3, which is a very large trial, assesses efficacy in a large population of subjects against control groups.
In the case of the COVID-19 phase 3 trials, we're running actually a larger trial than usual. We have 30,000 subjects per trial. I'm Monsef Slawi, Chief Scientific Advisor to Operation Warp Speed. When the trials will be completed, then the FDA will look at the data and assess whether the vaccines are efficacious and whether they're safe.
I'm Dr. Stephen Hahn, the Commissioner at the Food and Drug Administration. We have the gold standard of safety and effectiveness for all medical products. The FDA, along with all of our sponsors, have top of mind the safety of the vaccine. We will not cut corners in terms of our assessment of FDA of that gold standard of safety and effectiveness.
How long could it take to develop a COVID-19 vaccine? Vaccine development can take years, but there's no set timeline. In the case of SARS-CoV-2, scientists have a jump on it.
So Operation Warp Speed is taking processes that take years and compress it in 2 months. And the way we do that is by running different processes in parallel rather than sequentially. So for instance, we ramp up manufacturing of the vaccines while we're running the phase 3 trials before we know whether the vaccines are efficacious or not. If they turn out to be efficacious and the FDA approves them, we will use them. If they are not efficacious, then we won't use them.
Simultaneously, we work with DoD on needed supplies so that when a vaccine is ready, we can administer it widely. I'm Dr. Robert Kadlik. I'm the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response at the Department of Health and Human Services. The FDA can give emergency use authorization or licensure for promising candidates.
From what we know about the initial findings, we are cautiously optimistic that we will be able to have a vaccine available by the end of the calendar year 2020 and the beginning of 2021.
What types of vaccines are scientists developing?
Operation Warp Speed has invested in a number of vaccine platform technologies, such as, for instance, the novel RNA platform technology, but also a more established technology such as protein-based vaccine.
Sponsors of vaccines, including the US government, are looking at a variety of different platforms. And I'll use a sports analogy. This is like taking multiple shots on goal. We're coming from different directions to attack the virus. Hopefully, several of them will be effective.
What are some of the reasons for optimism?
The overwhelming majority of people who get infected with this virus do well and recover. In other words, their body has made an immune response that's adequate enough to suppress the virus and eliminate it from their body. That gives us optimism to feel that a vaccine will induce the kind of response that would mimic that and so protect us.
We're marshaling the breadth and depth of scientific resources to find the safest and most effective vaccine.
I am confident FDA has the scientific expertise to make the right decision for the American people. We are laser focused on the science of vaccines.
For the latest information, please visit hhs.gov/coronavirus.
All right. With that being said, or that being presented, are there anyone that have any questions or anything that they've heard or noticed that they might have some questions about, or just a comment? It can be any comment, question. And if you don't, that's okay, we can move forward. But it's kind of like Jeopardy. It was kind of like waiting. Like I said, I'm a very interactive speaker, so please don't get intimidated by my personality. I'm sorry. Alrighty, we can move forward. So now the way of, I guess you guys are noticing, the way I've introduced this whole presentation is I am starting, the key topics are going to be given with questions. And after the question is being answered from the knowledge that you guys know, I will then discuss it even more further. So true or false? Are there any age restrictions for the COVID vaccines? The answer is true. So let's see who is an early Discord. So Marissa is taking the lead. Presley, wow. I thought you were going to be up there, but it's okay though. Marissa's moving on up. So the answer is yes, there is an age restriction. So the one that can only be offered for minors who are under the age of 18 is the Pfizer vaccine. That Pfizer is eligible for people who are 16 years and older. The Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson are for anybody who's 18 and above. The one thing that differentiates the Pfizer Moderna from Johnson is that the Pfizer Moderna, as a lot of people know, are a 2-dose vaccine. The Pfizer is given within 3 weeks of each other. The Moderna is given within 4 weeks of each other, and the Johnson & Johnson is just 1 week. And then to be fully vaccinated, it is considered 2 weeks after your second shot or your first shot, of course. So any questions on that? Any clarification on that, on how the vaccine works, who it's being offered for? Anything at all? It feels so weird being on the presenter side of it, because when I'm listening and I stay silent, I'm like, okay, let's just move on. So this does feel weird. I get it now.
In the video that we just watched, there was like a baby getting a shot. Were they just demonstrating like all vaccines during that little sequence? Okay, gotcha.
It was just the process of vaccines in the past, like measles, mumps, rubella, flu, etc. How history has shown that, you know, everyone's got a shot, but specifically on the topic of COVID vaccine, it's 16. The youngest age is 16 years old. But thank you for asking that. That's great. Great observation. I also noticed that too, and I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna ask me something about that baby. All right, next one. This is multiple choice, so this has multiple answers. So this is the efficacy of the vaccine. So you guys can guess your percentages for all 3 vaccines. So there are 3 answers. Let's look at the chat. I like the baby. And then Dr. Saxton said, my sister's baby's pediatrician is participating in the pediatric trials right now. So maybe eventually we'll have it for the babies. Yeah, hopefully. Let's hope that it's also preventative. So we'll see how that goes. But that's awesome of your sister to be doing that. Alrighty. So the correct answers are 80 to 94.5, 85 to 95, and 66%. And here's why. So our leader right now, see, I knew Presley was gonna catch up. See, that's it. See, you got it. You're like, that's too much math for me to do in my head for how many points you're away. You're 100 and something away. All right. So the Moderna efficacy rate is from an 80 to 94.5% efficacy rate. And then from Pfizer, it's from 85 to 95 between the first and second doses. And then for the Janssen is a 66%. All 3 vaccines have been authorized by the CDC, and they've all been approved to prevent hospitalizations and death. So keep in mind that the efficacy rate is consisted of the prevention of being hospitalized, the prevention of becoming to the point where if you do get COVID, it doesn't take you to the point where you go to the hospital or even pass away. The next.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have to cut in here. Sorry, Frankie, I didn't catch that. Everybody, hi, I'm Sohan. I'm a research assistant with the Central Valley Health Policy Institute and Frankie's backup. So, sorry, I should have caught that. So the mistake here is with the question, I think it asked what are the efficacy or like how likely are the vaccines to prevent hospitalization and death? Yes. And this slide's, I don't want the message to get confusing. So the message is all 3 vaccines are 100% effective at preventing hospitalization and death. Those specific numbers are more for moderate to less severe symptoms. I just wanted to reassure you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get to with this slide here, because the key point in the bottom says for preventing hospitalizations. But yes, exactly what Sohan reiterated that they're all 100% effective, and they have been working effectively with a lot of the individuals being vaccinated today. So any other questions on that? Any other notes that you want to add, Sohan?
No, that should be it. And I just do want to reassure that the just because the Johnson & Johnson has a quote unquote lower number, it's not because it's less effective. There's just other factors that attribute to that lower number. But all three vaccines are equally effective.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns or anything before we move forward? Anyone at all? I feel like Kevin wants to say something. No? Or Leslie. I'm all calling all y'all names. I'm sorry. I'm putting you guys on the spot. Imagine if we're in class and then like if I'm getting to know you guys and I know your names and I'm just going to point you guys out. Like that's how I see it and that's how they did with me. So now that the tables are turned, ha. No. All right, next. I think I messed up on this question and I'll explain it, but it's two of them, yeah. I didn't realize it till after. So the answer to this one is that unless you're allergic to an ingredient in the vaccine, they recommend you not to get it. The allergic to eggs one was supposed to be a funny one, so I accidentally did not click that one. I apologize for that. But let me go back to the scoreboard and then go to the point. So Marissa's still in the lead. Presley, you're almost catching up, girl. You gotta answer faster. But yes, clinical trials found out it's to be safe for those who had underlying conditions and allergies not related to the vaccine. So when you do register for the vaccine and if you are interested in getting it, you will get asked these general questions as in, have you had COVID in the last 90 days? Have you had any allergic reactions? Have you had any chronic health conditions? And a chronic health condition can be diabetes, cancer, lung disease, any, what's the word? The blood, any bleeding disorders, etc. So therefore, why that determines with how your body is in order to get vaccinated and so on and so forth, and how you might react to it. Any questions about that? No? Okay, I'll just move forward then. Okay, true or false? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead and then I'll ask it.
Okay, sorry. Are side effects common in older adults who get the vaccine? True or false? The answer is false. The answer is false. And I'll explain why in the next slide. But Dr. Saxon, you had a question or comment?
Yes, my question is, sometimes I hear people say that they've had bad reactions to other kinds of vaccines, like the flu vaccine, and that makes them anxious about getting any new vaccine. How do you address those concerns in your promotor role?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we are speaking to people to register them for these events that they come to get vaccinated, the first thing that we were recommended by the nursing teams and the professionals was, if you have had allergic reactions to like a flu shot in your example, speak to your healthcare provider immediately. Your healthcare provider is the one that's done your blood work. They're the ones that have done everything, and they know your immune system, and they know everything that's going on with your DNA. So they're the ones that they need to advise you to whether to take it or not. That's the first step you need to do immediately. If you do not wish to do so and you want to take it anyway, then what we do is, if you do take it, the good thing about getting the vaccine is that after you get vaccinated, you have to wait about a 15 to 30 minute observation period, which is what I was going to talk about later in the vaccine process, but it coincides now to seeing if there's a side effect or seeing a reaction towards it, and a reaction towards getting vaccinated. For example, I can just use my own story. I'm allergic to ibuprofen, penicillin, etc. So I was considered a person of high risk of getting a reaction to the vaccine, but because this vaccine is new to my body, because every individual's body is different. Let me reiterate that and push that with you guys. Every human body is different, and you will not know how you react to something until you find out. How do you know you're allergic to nuts if you don't try the nuts? Like it's this and so on and so forth. So the same goes for the to their community members and saying, if you excuse me, if you are allergic to other things or in the past, just communicate with your healthcare provider and they'll guide you to do it. If you do not want to, well, we are there. There is an observation period and there's nurses and there's medical providers on call to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Did I answer the question? I know I talk a lot, but I try to explain clearly.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. So back to this question. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see who's in the lead now. Ellington is coming up. He is on it because he's been moving up and up and up. He might catch up to Presley, Marissa. Who knows? We will see. Dun, 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 dun. So yes, the answer is false. Older adults are less likely to have side effects from vaccines because of their declining immune system. And this is kind of a little bit of a tricky question. That's why I added it in there. So therefore, why wouldn't us, or have you seen a lot of younger generation posts on their TikTok, on their Snapchat, on their Instagram saying, oh my goodness, I'm having these side effects, I'm feeling, I have headaches and so on and so forth. Like, this is why we see a lot of it in our generation and on a lower older generation. Any questions about that? Yeah, okay. Next one. So here are some side effects that I'm sure a lot of you guys might know. Again, the social media platforms have been saying it all around. Everybody has access to a cell phone and a computer, and they are spreading what they're feeling and what it is that's going on with them. But some minor side effects on the injection side of whichever arm you get it on would be a little bit of pain, a little bit of tenderness, some swelling, a little bit of redness on injection site. I joke around when I'm at vaccine events and I say, if your third arm doesn't grow out, then there's a problem. It just makes people laugh. It's just like, it gets them a little bit more happy and be like, okay, well, this is obviously ridiculous that I'm saying a third arm, but just to nudge people to feel like, you're okay, you'll be fine. It's gonna be a little sore. But again, if you don't grow another finger and arm, you're okay. The general side effects that go on with receiving any one of the vaccines are fatigue, headache, muscle pain, joint pain, chills, nausea, vomiting, and fever. The severe reactions that are commonly known for people who have an allergic reaction to it that I have also seen in person. It's very rare, but if you do get an allergic reaction to it, or it would be difficulty breathing, swelling of your face, a fast heart rate, maybe a bad rash all over you, and some dizziness and weakness. But like my colleague Sohan let me know in a presentation in the past, which is on this presentation, a one-liner would be, expect anything from no side effects to the symptoms of the flu, which is totally normal. Let your body, like I said, every person's body is different. Let your body react and let your body work to take in the vaccine and what it is. Questions on side effects and what it is they're going to feel, anything at all? Check in the chat. Okay, nothing. No? Okay. Moving on. Which is so now that I told you about it, what is a side effect of getting the vaccine? Which is not a side effect. And the answer is cough. It's not a side effect. Who can tell me what coughing is before we continue? Anyone? If they kind of know. No? Okay.
Isn't it like your lungs trying to get a particle or something out of your body?
Coughing? Oh, no, I meant like, what is coughing related to COVID? Sorry, I should be more specific.
A symptom.
Yes. Who said that?
It's Kevin.
See, oh boy, Kevin. See, I knew you were going to say something eventually, but see, there you go. Yes, you got it. It's a symptom, not a side effect. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. Okay, Presley went down, Mary went up, and we still have Marissa in first place. I don't know who Marissa is, but hey, girl. Can I get a little hello?
Hi.
Hi, you doing good, girl. Keep doing you. Okay, so next one. Yes, Coughing, shortness of breath, sore throat, loss of taste and smell, they're not side effects of the vaccine. Those are more the symptoms of COVID. And that may indicate that you do have COVID, which everybody knows this by now. Like the whole world knows when you're feeling these symptoms or feeling asymptomatic, or if you're not feeling symptoms, or you do start feeling any type of symptoms, is these common ones. So kind of a little trick question. Yeah. But thank you, Kevin, for answering. Nice to hear your voice. And Marissa, it's nice to hear you guys. All right, moving forward. True or false? Can you take an over-the-counter pain reliever if you're experiencing side effects after you receive your vaccine? Can you? Yes or no? True or false? The answer is true. You can. You definitely can. So let's move to the next slide, and then we'll go to anybody moving up. Presley's coming back up. Ellington is sneaky. He's like, he goes and he comes back. So make up your mind. Just kidding. All righty, let's see. We recommend, the CDC does not recommend you taking pain relievers prior to getting vaccinated, but it is perfectly fine to take a Tylenol and an ibuprofen afterwards. What has been recommended that I did hear from one of my colleagues in the past saying, we recommend you not taking a pain reliever with at least wait about 6 to 8 hours after getting your vaccine. Let your body take the vaccine, let your body antibodies work in it, let your body work. What you're basically telling is let your body work, let it do its thing. But if you absolutely, again, start getting fatigue and headaches that you can't bear because of the injectile arm, which is totally normal, yes, go ahead and take any pain relievers that might help you. Questions? Questions about that? No? I hope I'm not going too fast. I hope I'm giving you guys knowledge and you guys are learning little facts here and there about this whole process of our new life. All right. Nothing in chat? Okay. Let's move forward. All right, next question. How long after your last vaccine dose until you're considered fully protected or fully vaccinated? I did mention this in a slide prior. I like how fast everyone's answering. It's like they're paying attention. They want to know. I never even asked Dr. Saxon, what's the reward for people who like win for this?
So the winners will receive a $25 gift certificate to DoorDash, courtesy of my stimulus check.
Wow, see how generous Dr. Saxon is. So thank you for that. So yeah, keep in mind that you guys that want that DoorDash. I have the DoorDash premium or whatever it is, and it's not healthy. All right, so the answer is 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Once you get your final vaccine dose, whether it's from the Moderna and Pfizer, which is a 2-dose by the end of your second one, by 2 weeks after your second one. And then of course the Johnson & Johnson would be 2 weeks after your first dose. Let's see who is up. And all the numbers are still the same. Everyone's still in the same lead. Yeah, so it takes some time for your body to build the immunity of the coronavirus. The CDC considers you fully vaccinated 2 weeks afterwards. Again, single or second dose. Questions before I move on to the next one? Comments, complaints, requests. My boss says, any jokes? Anybody have a joke they want to say, like to lighten up the mood? No? A funny story? No? I'm looking at my time, so I'm watching my time and I'm doing good. Okay, moving on. True or false? Once you receive the final dose of the COVID vaccine, you are immune for life. You're like superhuman and you can never get it again. The answer is false. It's false. You're not immune. What this kind of question leads into, which we'll go into the next slide, is just because you received the COVID vaccine does not mean that you will not get the virus. That's not what we're trying to tell you, that you will be fully immune to it. You can still get COVID. And if Sohan can interject here and give a little bit more information about that, that'd be great, in the sense of what does like in the other videos, what it helps is as a preventative, and there's also a video that I'm going to show you guys. But do you want to elaborate a little more by saying preventing hospitalization, preventing death? Did you want to add more to that, Sohan?
Yeah, so basically what the research has shown regarding vaccines is compared to actually like getting the virus and then, naturally fighting it off, for some reason it seems that vaccines provide a little bit of a larger protection than that. Or even if you have already had COVID-19 and you fought it off, getting the vaccine will help bolster that protection. But the big question of all of this is, how long does your natural immunity last from COVID-19, and how long will the vaccine last? Like, how long are you protected after getting your vaccine? Scientists are still out on that number. What we do know is that for a good amount of months that you're going to be protected from any hospitalization and death, meaning should you get the COVID-19 for whatever reason, you won't go to the hospital, you won't die. According to the current research, you'll probably just have mild symptoms. I'm sure some of you may have heard about the Pfizer CEO. They said like, hey, we might have to give you guys a booster soon. That's also up for debate. They're doing clinical trials on that right now. So that's something you can read up on if you're interested. But right now, we don't know how long how long the protection lasts from the vaccine, but they are thinking of giving everybody a booster to make sure it's longer. That's all we know right now.
Thank you. Yep. Any questions on that and what Sohan and I reiterated right now? Questions about that, about how long how long it will last, excuse me. No? Pretty straightforward, pretty kind of straight to the point. Alrighty. Thank you, Sohan. And the next question. How long should you quarantine if you're exposed to someone with COVID after you've been vaccinated? So you're exposed. How long should you quarantine? And then while this minute is going, little brownie points or bonus points, who can guess where this picture's from?
Yeah, I was gonna say Bubble Boy.
Hey, yes, Bubble Boy. So the answer is 0 days. You do not have to quarantine after being exposed to someone with COVID. That's the numbers right now. Marissa's still in the lead, Alyssa. And then No Bulges Vax is catching up, 8. So the answer is the CDC says vaccinated people do not need to quarantine or get tested if they've been around someone who has COVID. The only exception is if you do start feeling symptomatic and start getting symptoms, then they do recommend you go to a testing facility, get tested, find out your results, and then begin your quarantine. Then beginning your quarantine from the beginning of your you were quarantined for 10 days if you start feeling symptoms. Any questions on that? Anything at all? I'll be glad to answer. Sohan is also here, glad to answer. Okay. All right, next. True or false? Will the COVID vaccine alter your DNA? Will it happen where like Spider-Man bites you and then you become Spidey all of a sudden? The answer is false. It does not alter your DNA. And here is what it does. Here's a little brief video of exactly what it is the vaccine does. Don't mind how cringy or corny this might be, okay? It's a TikTok.
You need to make this. What is it? It's a part of a virus. Just a part of it, not the actual virus. They're called COVID-19. They have 4 cans and they're coming. 4 cans? Please. Ah! What is this? This messenger told me to make them. I've never seen these before. Some new antibodies get rid of them. Seize the forks. Nice body. Go to make this place my new home. 4 cans. Seize them.
I figured that this was the most cringiest and corniest way to explain exactly what the vaccine does and how the protein works that are being created to fight off the virus. But I thought, you know what, I have to show it. If I had to live through watching this, so do you. Any questions, any comments about what you just learned and what it is that you just saw about the altering of DNA and that myth and what people have been saying for the past couple of months? No, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, moving on to the next one.
So it,
Sorry.
sorry. So it just, the way it works is it just sort of creates a block, is what I got from that interpretation of how mRNA works. Is that right?
Yes.
Or am I missing the joke?
No, that's the main part. So Han, any other addition to that?
What you said is exactly right. It just basically what the vaccine does is it sort of trains your body on how to block off the we call it spike proteins. It's the forcans. It just teaches us how to block it so that even when the virus enters the cell, it can't actually do any harm.
Thank you. Thank you. So some clarity on that. Again, no more corny TikToks, I promise. All right, next. There you go. That's the answer. It's false. And then, all right, true or false? Can the CDC mandate that you get the vaccine? Can they mandate, force you to get it? The answer is false. No, they cannot. Quick questions. It's funny. I love corny TikToks. Awesome. Presley said. All right, next. So who's in the lead right now? Still the same. Awesome. Keep it up. So no, the federal government does not mandate or require a vaccination for the individuals in the country. Additionally, the CDC does not maintain or monitor people's vaccination records. A lot of the reason why I added this question in there was because, like I was speaking in the beginning to Dr. Saxton, was a lot of our community members and any type of ethnic group or population has had the fear of, again, DNA alteration or the tracking of an individual, whether it's through microorganisms, robots in the vaccine, or just the tracking of you getting vaccinated or you being required to do so. So I made it I thought I add this to it because to let our community members know and let you guys know that no, you're not being tracked. And then for ours, I guess from our population, when I say our population, are a lot of our migrant community members who do not have obviously any legal documents, have that fear, like if they get vaccinated, they have to give up their information in order to get the vaccine, which is completely false. We don't take any other information for you other than where do you live, what's your name, and your date of birth. Kind of generic questions. That's what I'm trying to say, generic questions. Any questions on this? Any comments before we move forward? We're almost done, almost done.
I have a question, but it's not on this one.
Yeah, what is your question?
So earlier you said that people that are fully vaccinated, they don't have to quarantine after being exposed. How does that work? Like, can they still carry it and get somebody else sick, or?
Okay, so Han, if you want to help me out with this one, and then I'll add my comments.
Yeah, the literature still, the literature just came out actually, but from what I've read, and I'm not an expert on this, please do your own research. From what I've read, it seems that the vaccine helps prevent transmission even if you do get COVID-19, if not prevent, really like limit how much you can spread it. So that's sort of my big takeaway of why you don't necessarily have to quarantine, because you're not as much of a risk to everybody else.
And then when you do get it into your body, this TikTok, that's what I was going to add on top of that. This TikTok video kind of showed that the antibodies created by the vaccine are trying to fight it off before you can even spread it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, of course. Anybody can ask any question at all. And then Sohan is my colleague, and he's one of my trusted, esteemed colleagues. So that's why sometimes I will let him speak first, and that way I trust his advice and his information wholeheartedly. Alrighty, let's see. Moving on. So again, we've talked about why get the vaccine, why stop the spread, to have natural protection about you and your family, and so on and so forth. But it's also to keep in mind that We are trying to stop the spread, stop the numbers from going of deaths and people getting infected and so on and so forth. Anybody have any questions about why this is the part where I wanted to interject. Like, anybody still wondering why they should get this vaccine after what we talked about? Like, why should I still get it? And it's okay to ask. It's okay to have that question. No? Okay, so the main reason why, the main reason why you should get vaccinated is also to protect the people around you. Like we had discovered, what we have mentioned to you is if we want to stop the spread and stop the virus from passing on from one to another, which we didn't have before this vaccine, is that people were getting infected and getting sick unknowing, and then coming in contact with their fellow loved ones and community members or family, whatever, or workers. And now that you are vaccinated, like we just mentioned, if you do come in contact with the virus, it immediately tries to eliminate it, therefore stopping the spread, therefore coming back to, I guess, also a sense of normalcy in our lives. We haven't been able to, I guess, for a side note, the last time that I've given a physical long hug has been months. All because I'm just trying to be precautious, all because I'm trying to be safe and making sure that I'm not spreading or not trying to contract anyone with what's going on. So it's all for precaution. What we're trying, I guess what I'm trying to embed and also trying to promote is precaution, precaution, precaution. Any questions on that? No? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. All right. Next question, multiple choices, double points. You're vaccinated now, so what now? What now? What can you do now? And this had just changed yesterday. Some new guidelines and some new rules changed yesterday. So select the ones that you can do, that you feel you can do. And like I said, these guidelines for vaccinated people just were re-administered yesterday. The CDC and I think they gave up, Sohan, did they give a press release or was it in the news? But I read it in a lot of articles this morning, a lot of articles about the new changes for masking and vaccinated individuals. Also on their website.
I think it's on their website. It might be a press release too. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I read it in a press release, but all these new masking mandates a lot of them have been lifted, a majority of them, and we'll go over now once this ends. So you're vaccinated, now what? Ten, 9, 8. I forget if I can skip it or if I can just go. I don't know. But I'm scared to click skip and then it'll go like completely. Okay, there are your answers. So fully vaccinated people, yes, you are allowed to gather with fully vaccinated people indoors without wearing a mask. If every individual has been fully vaccinated, can someone please tell me what fully vaccinated means? One more time.
2 weeks after your doses.
Yes, after what dose?
Any of them, either the second or the first dose, depending on what you got.
Perfect. Yes, that's what fully vaccinated means. Now, are you allowed to dine with other friends and family who've been vaccinated who are not from your household? Absolutely. That is I pulled this from the CDC website, and they're the ones that finally determined that. Again, this just happened yesterday, so this is brand news. So what does this tell us? Anybody have some guesses of what it tells us of what's going on? I have a specific word in my head, but you guys can say it.
The vaccine works?
That, yes, but I guess I'm thinking more generic, more general. What it is that we're getting back to a sense of normalcy. Back to what we knew pre-COVID, where we were allowed to gather, we're allowed to talk to people, we're allowed to touch, we're allowed to laugh, we're allowed to see. So let me go on to the next slide and then we'll continue the conversation. Oh, so K8 moved everybody up. Wow, I don't know who's Kevin. Is that you, Kevin? No, it's not Kevin. It's who is K8?
It's me.
Kaylani.
Kaylani, yes.
Oh, Kaylani. Hey, good girl. See, y'all just need to boost up your numbers and then free money. Who's not like happy about free food and free money? Like, please tell me. All right, next slide. So here are some safe activities. You can run and walk outdoors if you're walking by yourself, walking your dog without a mask. If you're fully vaccinated, around people who are fully vaccinated. You can attend small outdoor gatherings with people who are fully vaccinated, family and friends. The ones that we are, I guess, pushing for is to realize that if you are going to be around a group of individuals who are not vaccinated, here's an example. If you work in an office setting and you know that there are a few colleagues that are, you like in a huge office setting, or for example, you work at a restaurant and you know, so I think the restaurant would be a better example. If you work at a restaurant, there's dining in. If you don't know if the customers are vaccinated or not, they should be keeping their mask on. But you don't know that. You don't know that. So it is recommended that you just keep your mask on for precaution. Does that make sense? As an example. Now, when you go to concerts, because concerts and movie theaters are opening up back up. I'm guilty. I went to the movie theater 2 nights ago to watch Mortal Kombat. If you guys have seen that movie, I am in love because I grew up with Mortal Kombat. But I wore my mask the entire time. I had my popcorn through my little mask and then put it back on. In those type of congested settings where you don't know who is and who isn't fully vaccinated, they recommend to just keep wearing your masks. Also keep in mind in businesses and stores, if they require you to wear a mask inside that store, please still follow guidelines. Please still follow standing 6 feet apart. Please wash your hands. Please sanitize. Please keep everything clean. So that's, again, precaution, 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 precaution for the people around you. Not just for yourself, because if maybe you do or do not want to do it, but also just be respectful and kind for the people around you. Any questions on this? Yeah, please let me win and we can be besties. Yes, see, this is how you play the game. You write these things. She says, y'all, please let me win and we can be besties. I love that. Sounds like a deal. Oh, see, yes. See, and if all of three of the top three get a gift card and you put your money together, that's like a really delicious meal. Just saying. Just saying.
I have a question.
Yes.
So this is one of the areas where I have not felt as confident, just I think because of the whole experience of going through a pandemic and seeing people wax and wane and how seriously they take it. Do we know how they know that these things are safe now if you're vaccinated? Like, is it based on the number of breakthrough cases, or how have they come to this determination? Also, given that there's also new strains and we don't know if all of them are covered by the current vaccines.
That's a fantastic question. So I'll let you go first and then I'll give my response. Or do you want me to say my response first?
That's a great question. So from what I have been seeing, it seems that, so not just the CDC, but like a lot of health orgs, they sort of ranked different activities that we normally undertake by transmission and like how likely, or like how likely it is for some sort of an outbreak to occur in these sort of locations. So what it looks like from my point of view is that they're slowly reopening these activities based on, I guess, how likely it is for transmission to occur. And now that the vaccines all have very high efficacies and have very high levels of protection, they're able to be a little more liberal with things like attending small outdoor gatherings or attending like lunch with friends or indoor gatherings. But things like parties or a concert, those are like, I think if you rank them, they're the highest likelihood of transmission at those events. Those are always off limits. So that's sort of how I'm guessing they're choosing which to allow based on the risk of transmission and like how protective the vaccine is based on like literature out there.
It's based on the numbers that have been given and the numbers of vaccines administered, but also, again, like Sohan reiterated the number of transmissions. Any other question, Dr. Saxon? No? Anybody else? Before we move on, we're almost done. We're almost done. Bear with me, don't fall asleep. All right, next. Next question. Where can one go to get vaccinated here in our Central Valley? I know. Almost. Please excuse my roommate coming in. If you hear a door open, it's him. Alrighty, so there are a lot of options that are being offered here in Fresno County to get vaccinated. I only added 2 here, but Fresno City College and Gaston Middle School are offering vaccines currently. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, see where everybody's ranking, and then go into the information. So Alyssa's coming up. Marissa, I don't see your name, girl. Almost. We'll see if you get it. We have a few options still. All right. Next. All right. So currently in the city of Fresno, if you have reside in Fresno, the best place that you can get vaccinated immediately would be Fresno City College, is working with UCSF and the part of the COVID Equity Project, which is what me and Sohan are a part of, where they're offering the Pfizer vaccine. They're offering the Pfizer vaccine there. Can you show up with an appointment? Yes, you can show up without an appointment, but they would recommend you just to pre-register in advance. And then I'll talk about that option to pre-register in advance in the next slide, or it's also on here, it's called myturn.ca.gov. For those who are looking for sites for any towns on the outside would be, for example, in Fresno, the Fairgrounds is still offering vaccines as well. You can register for that on MyTurn. If you are living in different towns, who here does not live in Fresno, but lives in like other towns nearby?
I live pretty far away.
Where do you live, if I may ask?
I live up by Yosemite Valley.
Yosemite Valley?
Well, I live above Oakhurst.
Okay, so that I'm aware of, there was a clinic that happened last week with, who was the organizer? Was it Clínica Sierra Vista or was it United Health Centers?
I forget who it was, but I actually went and got my second vaccine.
Okay. And they were there in Oakhurst?
Yeah, at the community center.
Okay, there you go. So we're having a lot more mobile clinics. We're having a lot more availability for the vaccine, now going on to different the smaller towns. Dr. Saxon and I were speaking about that, offering it for the more rural communities. And other places would be, for example, in Greeley College is offering the vaccine there. OptumServe and Sanger is offering it. Also, another collaborative that my organization has been working with in Selma, it's called Curative. They're having a daily clinic, and their clinic is from, I think it's from like 2 to 7, and they work kind of off after hours for people who have work from regular 9 to 5 jobs. Another place to go look out for anywhere in the Fresno County would be this website that I have here. If you want to copy and paste it from your screen, you can. I will give this, Dr. Saxon does have the link for this Kahoot, so you can all look at all the information, all the links and videos that can be sent to you guys, hopefully after this. But any questions on where to find a site in our area, in our county? Any other ones that have questions about it?
We have someone from Merced County, someone from Kings County, and someone from Southern California in our class too. But I think they've all managed to find their way.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, Sohan, I think the CDC website has a COVID vaccine finder. If you go on their website as well, they can also find just put your zip code and it'll give you the areas and locations, because that's what I did for my parents, and they live in Monterey County. And
Yeah,
I was,
Vaccine Finder's great. It has like a bunch of pharmacies on there. It's really good.
yeah, so if you Google Vaccine Finder, it'll give you a website that'll take you to find anything, any place in your local county. And also, if you want specifically Pfizer, the locations offer Pfizer. Moderna, the locations offer that, and then J&J. So Vaccine Finder, totally your best friend. Any questions on this? On where to get vaccinated in our area, if you're local? Okay. And then how to register. So a lot of these facilities that are using to register are using this web browser called MyTurn. So this is just really easy to write. It's myturn.ca.gov. Like I mentioned, Fresno City, if you're again local in the town, does not require you to register. However, we recommend it because they will register you on the spot anyway. But if you can do it in advance, it just saves time. You're in and out faster. But utilize this website. Click the language you prefer, the town you're in, the location, and then you can make an appointment to get your vaccine. Any questions?
I kind of want to add real quick with Fresno City. I was literally there a few hours ago.
Okay.
It's empty. Like there is no line.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to get your vaccine and you haven't already, just go there.
Exactly. My team is out there right now. I'm technically supposed to be there with them, physically helping them because we're there actively. But I'm here with you guys. But yes, they're running low. They're running low on appointments. There's more, meaning that there's a lot of availability if you still haven't gotten vaccinated or any of your family members or friends are available. Questions? Anybody? Comments? No? Okay. You just want to see who's in the scoreboard right now. Okay. Next. Okay, so I have this little video that I saw this morning. I thought it was very, very great to listen to figure out how everything's happening after the vaccine and just kind of some input from individuals and what's happening in their lives. So just a little 5-minute video. I'm still good on time. We're almost done. Okay.
The COVID-19 vaccine has opened the door to normalcy, but what will this new normal look like? We asked you Chicago experts how the vaccine will impact our cities, from our healthcare systems and businesses to our educational and cultural institutions.
So the vaccine is a complex gift. It both gives you a sense that you are protected, but it ought not give you a sense that you're free to do anything you want. The fact that you have the vaccine means that you've accepted the gift, and the gift comes with some strings attached. It's a privilege to live in the city, but it's a kind of privilege that carries with it a deep responsibility, a duty that's incumbent on each of us to make the city safe. The nature of this pandemic is such that your personal choice affects the public realm. So when you say, I'm not going to get a vaccine, but I want the right to continue to work, I want the right to get on an airplane, the right to go and hear the opera, what you're doing is you're imposing that choice on me and on anyone in the community who might be more vulnerable.
Even if people get vaccinated, there's an issue of whether or not it's safe to go back to work. Are the other people at work that you're dealing with vaccinated? Do they feel comfortable that you're vaccinated, that they'll interact with you? What vaccine passports can do is eliminate that uncertainty and give people the confidence to engage in activity as they get vaccinated. That is to say, keeping activity rising in proportion to vaccination rates. In urban areas where a lot of the economic activity hinges on people interacting with each other, and where population density really increases the risk of infection, I think community passports may play a more important role in encouraging people, as the vaccination campaign continues, of encouraging people to actually engage in economic activity.
Civic leaders need to use their privilege to advocate for communities that have been marginalized and have suffered the disparities that we've seen unveiled through this COVID-19 vaccine. The public health system has to be set up in such a way that every citizen in every urban area, in every state, is a part of how care gets delivered within our cities and states, and not with the system of separatism and fragmentation and two systems of healthcare for the poor and healthcare for the affluent. We can't operate a public health system that way.
The use census spatial data can bring great insight into public health efforts and to deployment of the vaccine in particular. We know, for instance, that low-income communities are at much greater risk, both for coming down with COVID-19 and for dying from COVID-19. If we can use the data, for instance, from the census, where we know if buildings are multi-dwelling, we know the density of a particular neighborhood. Do they need to use public transit to get to work? All of that information can be brought to bear on characterizing the risk of a community and in understanding how we meet that risk in terms of our public health efforts.
Education is not one size fits all. And we had an opportunity to think about how to support students who have a variety of needs, both academically, but also socially. And we were striving to meet those individual needs during the midst of this pandemic. I don't want us to lose sight of that once we return to the schoolhouse. The future of urban education needs to be centered on individualizing education as much as possible for our students through a variety of modalities and ensuring that we can meet students and families wherever they are.
Right now in the performing arts, about 70% of our employees aren't working. As we think about our world after the vaccine, we're thinking really, really carefully about the smartest, most impactful decisions that we could make to further our missions. Arts organizations will not come back with the same speed that they had before. So I think the artistic decisions that people make will think a lot more about the impact of that work on our audiences. And I think we'll think a lot less about entertainment.
Alrighty. So kind of the takeaway from this and kind of showing you this is that, okay, in my personal opinion, and what I've been sensing and seeing, yes, I did mention a sense of normalcy of how things are opening up again and we're allowed to do things. However, there's an addendum to that. There's an addendum in the sense of we need to change how things were being done before, in the sense of before the vaccine and how we were living our lives and how we were offering services in any aspect, whether it's services of entertainment, services in our school system, services for healthcare, services for food, and how that was being administrated before to now. Because of this whole pandemic, it has opened a lot of our community's eyes to how things were being done and how things were being conducted. That although it took this pandemic to kind of open our eyes, there needs to be a shift. There needs to be a shift, a positive shift for how things need to be done. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that kind of resonates with you guys now that we're like almost at the end of this presentation and kind of talking about what it is we're going to be doing now once we're vaccinated. I know from my personal experiences that I do need to be more cautious with how cleanly and how healthy I am with myself. During this pandemic, it has taught me to definitely where I am in my mental health, where I am in my spiritual health, and where I am in my physical health. Like before the pandemic, what I was noticing with my life was that I didn't make time to better my health, to make time for my mental health and talk to my counselor, which I do have one now. And also recognize what kind of health services were being offered to me and to my family, who are first-generation migrant families. So all of this situation opened up a lot of doors for other things and for us to recognize and realize that we need to better ourselves and better our world. I hope that makes sense to any of you guys. Any questions or comments about that? Anything at all? Okay. Let's just move on to the next question and then we'll talk a little bit more. So I think this is the final question. Yeah, final question. Answer whatever you want to answer. Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for that. And then now we're here at the slide before we end. So I want to leave a little open door for just a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, for anyone to either, if it's not even a question, at least have a statement. Does anyone have a statement of how they're feeling of what it is that they're going through because of this pandemic? I know that you guys are in college right now. You guys are taking this class. I know how stressed I was when I was in person finishing my bachelor's degree. And that was in person. I can only imagine how it is now doing this whole, again, this whole new way of learning and this whole way of doing classes. How are you guys doing? Anybody can answer. Anybody can say anything. Don't all talk at once.
I'd say
yeah.
the big thing for me is like the anxiety of like learning the online, making sure I'm, you know, here when I need to be, if I'm on track. And like for me, I have 2 children that are homeschooled now. So it's just compounded and it's insane.
And that was Kevin, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Kevin, for saying that. No, I agree. I definitely agree. This whole new way of learning and this whole new way of living has definitely affected, again, our education, but even our families when you have children. And I can only imagine how much more stressful, how much more work it is for you because of your family to balance, have a sense of balance because of the situation. So with that, I tell you, I commend you for being here. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for what you're doing and for still keeping faith and still keeping the work up that you're trying to do. I'm very proud of you. Snaps and hand claps for you. I know Ellington, you wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I mean, yeah, it's definitely been, I think, difficult for everyone, especially college students, and something that I have been hearing from a lot of my friends is that a lot of them are, especially with the vaccines coming out, getting more and more impatient to kind of see each other and do things that not everyone's comfortable with, or that, or even would be deemed like social distancing and safe in that regard. And I just was thinking about that.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And thank you for mentioning that. I did an interview for ABC 7 about 2 months ago. And in the interview, I stated that the only way that we can, I guess, get back to normalcy and get better with our lives, if this continuous patience, we have to have continuous patience. And my God, does that suck. And boy, is it hard. I get that. I get that. I totally get it because I get overwhelmed. I get anxious and I understand how hard it is to be impatient. But it's also to understand that because of what is going on, we need to be. This takes time. We need to follow rules and guidelines that are set for us for a reason. People don't just tell us things for no reason. There is a reason and there is a consensus behind it. But keep doing what you guys are doing. Keep fighting. The struggle, I guess everybody says the struggle is real and it's really real. But you guys are, again, putting forth your efforts and you guys are continuously advocating for yourselves and bettering yourselves by being here and by continuing, by doing what you're doing. I'll read what Presley said. I really liked the last video and what was said towards the end. Now that the vaccines have been out and things look slightly like they're going well, I feel like I forgot how disappointed I was with our whole system and how things were handled in the beginning throughout the pandemic. We need to continue the need for change, like you said. Absolutely, absolutely. I think more than anything, this has opened the door, opened our eyes to see how our system was being ran for certain things. Again, for the efficacy for our communities in healthcare, in food distribution, in education, etc. So absolutely. I hope that's one of the big takeaways that you kind of take away from this as well, on top of educating yourself of what it is that's our new norm in our lives right now. Final questions, comments? I'm looking at the chat. Dr. Saxon says, here's the CDC page on what's okay post vaccination. What we need to keep doing is to stay safe regardless. Absolutely, absolutely. Still, in my recommendation as a professional working in this field of COVID, I am not an expert. Let me reiterate that I am not an expert, but being that I'm in the field and working with these individuals, I say, please still wear your masks. Please still social distance. Please still sanitate and still making sure that you wash your hands and just staying healthy overall. Yes, things are opening up slowly, but all in moderation. Everything needs to be done in moderation. But again, precaution, precaution, precaution. Just be precautious for yourself and be precautious for the people around you and your family. I know just because we can do things doesn't mean we have to do it all. Absolutely. That's very, very true. Very true. All in moderation. So now that they opened these things up yesterday, and if everybody floods and starts doing them automatically, they're going to take them away again. Like if cases go back up, this liberty of being healthy and safe now is going to be removed back because again, the numbers are showing that things are not okay. So any final comment, question, joke, complaint? If you have a complaint, please straight up tell me. I can take it. I'm a big boy, both literally and physically. So just tell me. No, final regards. No, okay. Are you guys ready to see who your top 3 winners are? Because that's what the next slide is. Yeah, yay. I can see the excitement in all of your guys' screen names. Okay. All right, next slide. Thank you, Presley, for your comment. All righty. So our top 3 winners are Presley. Yeah, Presley in 3rd place, Alyssa in 2nd, and in 1st place, who came out? Hey, there you go. Those are your top 3. And then the runners up were Ellington and Noble. But thank you guys for having me today. Dr. Saxon, did you want to write down the names of these individuals, or who's going to write them down that way you guys have them? Or Ellington, if you wrote them down. Okay, you wrote them down.
I screenshotted it, but I want to thank you and Sohan for joining us today and sharing this with us. Everybody except Marissa is from this class. This is a busy week on campus. It's diversity week. There's all kinds of things going on. But it was really good for our students to see this model of the promotor way of doing things in an age and culturally appropriate way. I'd like to thank Marissa for joining us. She heard about this on social media. She's a sociology major, and so she is going to get a DoorDash prize as well for being our esteemed guest. Thank you, everybody, and thank the students for managing this. Now you know what it's like to manage a Zoom room, some of you, and we've got one more teach-in left next Monday with Dr. Lenny Reeves Villagomez Reeves on how Cuba is handling open source vaccine technology and public health, we have a lot to learn from them, I think, too. And your team would be welcome to come to that. I'll make sure Beva and Tanya and Sandra all have that so they can share if you have time.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys for listening to me. I know that my personality is very outgoing and charismatic, and that's just who I am. But thank you for being patient. Thank you for giving me your attention. I definitely appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Saxon, for giving me this opportunity. I am more than willing to talk to anyone or anybody has questions at all. Text me, call me. I'm open to any type of question or anything. Even if you guys need someone to literally vent to, be like, bro, like I am stressed because it's final. I need to do it. It's due tomorrow, and I even had done a word. If you need that, please give me a call and please give me a text. I know that we all need to support. My point of that is we need to support each other. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you all. Okay, folks, thanks for coming. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you on Monday.